Season. Let's talk about ins and outs first, if that's all right. Greg Holmes coming in. Fantastic signing, it looks like. Tell us a bit about what persuaded you that he was the man to bolster your front row come next summer.
Well, I think first and foremost, the longer you're in the Premiership, and especially fighting out towards the top end and in the main European competition, the one thing that kind of gets hammered home over and over again is that you have to have a strong front five, and that your set piece has to function, and that you can't rely on just one or two bodies to make that happen. So, we think we've got good strength, probably across our back row, and an awful lot of competition there. And we're quite happy if we have a similar level of competition across the front row. We've got some good props there already, but we want more, because ultimately so many games get decided on that area of the game.
You obviously have players like Thomas Franson, that's a linked contract. Murray Lowe, obviously out of contract, he's a non-EQP player as well. Yeah. Is that a consideration you have to make come the end of the season, because you only have so many non-EQP slots?
A little bit, but I mean, if anything, if you're going to keep having a non-EQP player, they may as well be in the same position. And I know that might sound a little bit silly, but if you're only going to ever use two, well, they're always going to be the two non-EQP, and the guy who drops out will be non-EQP. So actually you can manage it a little bit easier if they are in one position. So that part of it doesn't worry me too much. Obviously, Murray's come out of contract, but I think he's actually having a very good season this year, and when we're not completely against, as I say, keeping our front row unit very strong. Murray can play loose head as well as tight head. There's definitely some interest from me to keep a very strong group of props together.
And does the signing of somebody like Greg Holmes in some ways help your recruitment policy going forward this year, because it shows to players that perhaps maybe are undecided about what they do in the summer that, hang on a second, they've brought a player like that in? Maybe it will, it's a little bit of bait, so to speak.
I mean, potentially, yes, but we actually haven't got a lot of recruitment slots left to fill, really. I think we're probably a little bit light potentially in the second row, but obviously we've got some young guys here who are still developing, and we may be a little light in one position in the backs, really. So it's not like we've got loads and loads of players still left to sign. We're pretty well done on our retention and our recruitment. So yes, it may well in the future be something that helps bring players in, but we're not looking to bring loads in next year now, so it's a little bit, it's a bit hard to say, really.
Yeah, I understand. Adam Hughes obviously gone the other way, has left the club. He never featured in the Premiership, didn't play an awful lot of games. Is that disappointing for you that he perhaps didn't make the impact that I'm sure you would have hoped he did when he first came?
Yeah, always disappointing, and I kind of take it quite personally when we bring someone into the club and maybe we don't see the best of them, or we don't see them flourish right to the extent we want to. So it is a little bit disappointing, but the important thing for Adam really became that he needed to play rugby. Obviously he had a couple of injury issues, and the trouble was it started to become difficult to get him enough rugby to then see him probably fulfil his potential. So I think for both of us it became the sensible thing for him to do to go out on loan to the Dragons. He obviously started to enjoy it there, has become an important player at Dragons. They're keen to keep him, and as I say, I think when it starts to get like that, then I think for both parties the sensible thing to do is to make sure it's about the rugby and it's about the player, and I think that's what we did. Adam's happy there and he's playing there. He's playing rugby regularly that's going to get the best out of him and keep him happy, so in a lot of ways it was just a sensible thing to do.